Breaking news. Welcome to today's headlines. We read federal government fresh charges on social media. Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer tells court. We read federal government fresh charges on social media. Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer tells court. To my dear listeners, from wherever you're listening from, please stay tuned as I read today's news. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Monday presided over a fresh case against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. But Kanu's lawyer, Mike Ozekhome-san, accused the federal government of not serving him with the fresh charges. The federal government filed fresh charge in suit number FHC ABG-CR 484-2022 against Kanu, and it was listed for today's court proceedings. Mike Ozekhome-san protested it, saying the fresh plea amounted to abuse of court processes. He argued that parties ought to wait to await the final outcome at the Supreme Court before taking any further legal step if needed. My lord, we have not even been served this charge. We only read it on social media. I thought they would have said they are withdrawing their charge because it constitutes abuse of court processes, Ozekhome said. On her part, Justice Bintalun Yako agreed that she will await the outcome at the Supreme Court. In another application filed by Ozekhome, he argued that the Court of Appeal judgment which freed his client was not obeyed by federal government. So we want costs to be awarded against the federal government for not obeying court judgment, he said. But the judge said she will adjourn all matters pending Supreme Court judgment. Earlier, the Department of State Services lawyer, Awo, told the judge that Kanu refused to show up in the day's proceedings. But Ozekhome said he was surprised by the DSS claim, adding that he was with his client at the detention facility recently and Kanu was eager to be in court. However, Justice Nyako was not disturbed by the claims and counterclaims regarding Kanu's non-appearance because the business of the court sitting was fixed for report on the outcome of higher court. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Monday presided over a fresh case against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. But Kanu's lawyer, Mike Ozekome's son, accused the federal government of not serving him with the fresh charges. The federal government filed fresh charge in suit number FHC ABJCR 484/2022 against Kanu, and it was listed for today's court proceedings. Mike Ozekome's son protested it, saying the fresh plea amounted to abuse of court process. He argued that parties ought to await the final outcome at the Supreme Court before taking any further legal steps if needed. My lord, we have not been served this charge. We only read it on social media. I thought they would have said they are withdrawing their charge because it constitutes abuse of court processes, Ozekome said. On her part, Justice Bintalu Yakul agreed that she will await the outcome at the Supreme Court. In another application filed by Ozekome, he argued that the Court of Appeal judgment which freed his client was not obeyed by federal government. So we want costs to be awarded against the federal government for not obeying court judgment, he said. But the judge said she will adjourn all matters pending Supreme Court judgment. Earlier, the Department of State Services lawyer, Haiyawo, told the judge that Kanu refused to show up in the day's proceedings. Now we've come to the end of our today's news.